I think, you cannot ignore the reverse that the pandemic has had on progress that has been achieved for delivering the Sustainable Development Goals. So if we can find a way to create better linkages between small and medium business owners in Southeast Asian countries and in Canada, it's a win-win situation.
I think you have really shown us that the cooperation between Canada and the ASEAN continues to go strong, even amidst the pandemic. Perhaps you can tell us about the potential for cooperation that can be further explored between Canada and ASEAN, both amid the pandemic and the efforts to overcome the pandemic and economic recovery, as well as for the future post-pandemic.
Absolutely. I think, so obviously in terms of the initial response, it was the provision of PPE and ensuring equitable access to vaccines and as well as contributing to research and development efforts. And I think that type of innovation with regard to research and development is going to be an important pillar of Canada's engagement with the region moving forward. But we also know that there are a number of longer term efforts that we are going to have to support. I think, you cannot ignore the reverse that the pandemic has had on progress that has been achieved for delivering the Sustainable Development Goals, not only in ASEAN, but across the world. And we have seen that those risks have been particularly exacerbated, and the impact has been exacerbated for women, children, and the most vulnerable. So we just continue to allow more progress to be reversed, and there is an urgent need to identify the sectors that are suffering the most. For example, education, the millions of children that are not accessing education during this pandemic, and making sure that we can remedy that as soon as possible to ensure that progress along the Sustainable Development Goals continues. I think managing the stresses of the economic stresses of the pandemic is going to be another long-term challenge that our governments and people are going to be faced with. And we're going to have to work together to stabilize our economies and to identify new ways to integrate and to support our economies and our people. And thinking ahead, there is already some work that Canada is doing in that regard with ASEAN member states, but also with Indonesia specifically. For example, we are working towards the launch of a potential ASEAN-Canada free trade agreement, which would benefit significantly the people of the ASEAN region of Southeast Asia, but also of Canada. We think that even though there has been strong economic cooperation and trade and investment in some sectors, that there is so much more that could be done, particularly by focusing on segments of the population that aren't necessarily the focus or haven't been the focus of past trade agreements. So for example, small business owners are the backbone of the economies in the ASEAN region, but also in Canada. So if we can find a way to create better linkages between small and medium business owners in Southeast Asian countries and in Canada, it's a win-win situation. In addition to a potential ASEAN-Canada free trade agreement, we are also looking at the potential of Canada-Indonesia Comprehensive Economic Partnership Agreement.
All right. Thank you so much, Madam Ambassador. That was everything from us. Is there anything you would like to add before we close the session?
No, just thank you again for having me with you today and to share a few highlights of what Canada is doing in the region to collaborate with the 10 ASEAN member states and with Indonesia in particular. I think for Canada, what the pandemic has highlighted is that it's really impossible for one country to find solutions alone. And it's highlighted the need and the effectiveness of collaboration and of multilateralism. And our greatest successes have been in that multilateral fora, whether it be through COVAX, ensuring equitable and fair and timely distribution of vaccines, or through measures like Canada's contribution to the ASEAN Response Fund, which will allow ASEAN member states, including Indonesia, to access vaccines rapidly and to address some of the most urgent needs that it has for frontline workers in responding to the ongoing needs of the pandemic. So thank you very much for this opportunity to share with you.
Thank you so much for joining us today. I hope you stay safe and healthy.
You as well. Stay safe and hope that you and your families have a lovely holiday period.
Thank you. Baik pemirsa, demikian perbincangan saya dengan Duta Besar Kanada untuk ASEAN, Madam Ambassador Diedrah Kelly. Thank you. Terima kasih telah menyaksikan. Sampai jumpa.